Welcome to the Julia and Miguel show.
Hi.
This is Julia. I'm Miguel. And what are we talking about today?
Today, I thought it'd be fun to talk about our beliefs on dating. So, meaning dating while married.
Okay, I haven't dated in a while, so.
Right, but technically, so this would be interesting for me to hear what you think about the idea that, you should be dating your spouse while married. Because I am a firm believer. I think you are maybe just not, what would you say? Like you're,
I didn't have time to prep for this.
what's the term for unconscious?
Incompetent?
No, the other one.
Unconscious confident?
Unconscious.
Conscious incompetent?
Competence.
Conscious
Meaning
incompetent?
you do something really well without knowing or attempting to do it. Where my situation would be conscious incompetence. Where I know, like I have to try to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Would that be conscious competent?
Oh, okay. Because I do. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I consciously make the effort and I try to do it. So I'll start from my point of view.
Okay, go ahead.
For being, what did you call it? Consciously competent, I am making the effort to constantly think of you as not my spouse. That sounded wrong.
Yeah, that does sound kind of
I'm
wrong.
constantly trying to make the effort to remember all the things that I love about you, right? Because I think when you're with someone for years on end, that, well, how many? 19? 19 years. That sometimes you can just become really accustomed to every way that they are. And sometimes I have to step back and kind of remember, like, wow, the little things that he does that really, if I were dating someone, I would be going home after the date saying, like, oh, and then he did this, and he did this, and I would.
So you're
I would
saying you
appreciate
take me
those
for
things.
granted? Is that
But it's something I think that's something that you do naturally, right? Like, because I've noticed that you're always very appreciative of everything, and so yeah, tell me what you think about that concept.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't have time for prep for this. Let's see. Continually dating. Well, I mean, I think it's. I think it is that concept of whether you're taking an individual for granted, right? Are you just going through motions?
Mm-hmm.
Are you? I don't know what to say with this.
Well, I'll help you out.
Yeah, well, why don't you? 'Cause I'm thinking, but I guess it helps if I try to think about what other people. I think a lot of times we all get caught up into what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then we just assume like the other person's now like, they play a role in our lives, but I'm not like a relationships expert necessarily. One in developing. How about that?
Yeah, but I think you're good at it.
Here, I keep cutting you off. No, I do think that when it comes to relationships, obviously you have to be continually remembering that you're putting effort forward,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's only when you stop doing so then communication starts to break down.
I agree.
How about that?
Yeah,
How
no,
about
I
that?
agree.
So
I agree.
love is shown through action and words.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So I can share something that over conversations, not with Miguel, with other females who are in relationships, and it's kind of like a old ongoing joke, right? Where everyone always said, or not everyone, a lot of people have said, some people just aren't meant for one relationship, right? Monotony. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to, say the wrong otany. So I've heard that plenty, right? Like, oh, guys aren't, or there's always generalizations. Guys aren't meant for one relationship, or this type of person isn't meant for one relationship. And one thing that recently occurred to me is maybe that's true in the sense that if you have a couple, right, like us, who are constantly pushing to grow, we're never going to be the same person. We're
Yeah,
always
but I
going
think
to
that's
be
a different
developing.
context of
It is.
how the word is used.
I'm taking it out of, I know, but my thought is maybe that's why people can't stay together, is because they get stuck in the rut, like you said. They don't appreciate each other. They're not developing. They're not growing individually. So then, yeah, if you look over and you see the same person and they haven't changed, they haven't improved their situation. They haven't tried. They haven't. You know what I mean? If you're not growing together, then I can understand that the concept.
Well, I know like recently I saw, I hate to say it, on Instagram or something, a posting where somebody said, I don't know, something along the lines of like, trying to change me, trying to make me do this and do that and do that, and just love me for who I am or something. And to me, I read it as, if the person isn't what you want them to be, find somebody else.
Okay,
I'm being honest with that, because I get it, like, people do grow apart, and that is just a nature of life. I mean, I think that, like, in a very basic, like, elemental way of looking at it would be just if, this will sound kind of weird, but if you had like the mentality of an 8th grader versus the mentality of like a college educated individual, it's like you're not going to see eye to eye on like what you could converse about for the most part.
Sure.
You can not going to have the same interests. That's what they say, like the same problems that happen when like old men, like a 60-year-old gets a 20-year-old girlfriend. It's like they don't relate to the same things in life.
Sure.
So I think it's the same thing with the relationships, that if they're not both growing, then you stop being able to relate to things. Wow, Bird, did you see that? So excitement. So I think that's the same thing when you're goal setting, you're working towards things, and if the other person isn't on the same page, there's a disconnect.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, this is your topic, so I'm going with it today.
Oh, well, okay. So I'm going to keep going on that vein. So you said you hit a trigger word for me, because it's something that I've been reading about recently, about goal setting, the importance of goals, like why care about them, and it's not a new topic by any means. I mean, how long have we constantly been trying to implement goals in our lives? But it struck a new chord with me, because it was talking about how there's this consistency in relationships for couples, businesses, families, across the board. Just this one truth that if they don't have common goals, they're going to be falling apart, which is what I think you just said. And for me, I know I've had a few points up to date where when I feel either depressed or frustrated, generally grumpy, which I usually take cues from my family members, and my 3-year-old say, "Mommy, you're grumpy." I start to stand back and go like, okay, if I'm hearing it from my 3-year-old, like maybe I need to look at what my daily routine is. What am I missing? But that being said, the idea that when you find yourself in either or I should speak for myself, when I find myself in a state that I don't like, right? I'm either grumpy or depressed. I usually will find that I've fallen out of a goal. Like I've just been working day to day, doing things that I have to do without pursuing something.
You get caught up in life as opposed to working on your own life.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. And then that's an easy thing to do. I mean, that's where most people complain, like the no time factor, just running from one activity to the next. And I think it's being able to step back and take away like a moment from whatever hectic activity that you're trying to pursue, right? Or unbeknownst, if you're not even like trying to pursue anything, you're just like in the process of doing. But it's not always like the positive doing. It's like, I know when people tell me they watch TV, they do this, do that, and I say, hey, when was the last time you done, I don't know, you read a book, or you goes, I don't have time. I'm like, you had time to watch that Game of Thrones show or something. It's like we stopped watching TV like around like 2005, 2006. It's kind of like when we like put the axe on it, and we just like movies every once in a while. We had Netflix for a little while before we canceled that. But I mean, it's just there's better things to do with your time, especially if you want to be able to converse with the better half and be able to see how to live a better life. So I think it's just that. It's being able to find where you take your time and where you can apply it. You can carve out those goals. You can find ways to grow together. I think that's it. I always say, well, 2 things. Communication is important. Words are important. And I think a majority of people who know me know I say these things. And I think it's important for a couple to have that with their relationship as well. Open communication makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Would you tell me the definition for resentment?
Oh, and now you're going to put me on the spot. Resentment. Okay, so this is something because I was reading Psycho-Cybernetics, because always trying to take info in, and I thought it was interesting because it was a way I never have looked at it, where it was saying resentment, so obviously back or again, satir, to regarding feelings. So in other words, you're rehashing or reliving feelings from the past. You can't change the past. So instead of living in the past, you just like deal with what you can do with now and move on. It's no different than one thing I always kind of harp on when I listen to people complain about things. I guess it's that entitlement culture, which is a completely different topic. Let's not get into that today. But the word deserve, because I know it's not like how it's technically looked upon, but I think I liked how the author put it, Grant Cardone, I'll give a plug, from service, and that made like a...
D from
Yeah.
service.
Yeah, right. And so it's like from service, then you get, and that makes a lot of sense to me. And I don't think people have that in mind either. But if you think about it, that can also relate to relationships. And then again, it's part of that communication. Like if you're not openly communicating with the other individual, you might become resentful, right?
Yes.
So.
Yeah, no, and I was really glad that you shared that because as far as the definition of resentful, because for me, well, I'll just say, I mean, that's one of the reasons I love you, because you are constantly sharing.
Resentful.
No, sorry, that wasn't a good attachment. I kind of jumped in my head. It made a connection. It wasn't that connection. So because whatever I'm going through, you're constantly sharing what you're learning, and it helps me improve, helps me become a better person. Sometimes I'll be bothered by something and probably complaining a little bit, and you're like, hey, have you read this, or have you thought about this? And I appreciate you, because I mean it always helps to have like a different point of view, and somebody who's, I think we're getting right now, somebody who's willing to listen, one, and then also share their perspective, but then somebody whose perspective is always developing with what you're learning and you're sharing with me. But on that, I think that the definition helped me because of the concept of like how I just have different communication issues with family members and stuff, and so hearing like, instead of rehashing, it would be I'm gonna get rained on. Instead of rehashing, it would be better to look at it in the different perspective of like the actual definition.
I agree with you.
Well, yeah, you should. It was from you.
Yeah.
I was just saying a very long-winded thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. All right. Is there any takeaways from this that we can offer anybody out there? What's your takeaway?
Well, obviously,
Communication?
my concept of continually dating your spouse.
Oh, yeah, I think we fell off that.
I think that's an important thing. If you do it naturally, like some people, then you don't have to really consider it. But, think about it if you haven't. For me, I have to keep it on the top of my brain, and I think it's helpful.
All right. There you go.
All right. Take care, and remember to always...
Like, subscribe. That's all that type of stuff that people say. Leave your comments. Hey, do you date your spouse? I guess that's a big thing. Or even
I
your
would
partner.
love to hear,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without getting into details, how do you keep like the the relationship interesting? How do you keep the romance interesting? Relationship, yeah. So because I know a lot of people have date nights and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really touch upon that. Maybe in the future we should.
Yeah, we should have
But we can talk about that in the future. Did that make sense? Yeah. All right. See you guys later.
Bye.